This is Dr. Nancy Che Mahan, and today we're going to start on Module 1. Module 1 for intermediate and beginning algebra, and Module 1 is on arithmetic readiness. Arithmetic readiness is similar to just saying that this is a review of pre-algebra, things that we hope that you already know, so it might be a review for some of you guys, but it'll be a good refresher for many of you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and so that you can see what we'll be working on right now. So the worksheet that you should have printed out or have access to is Module 1 worksheet right here, Arithmetic Readiness. And there are 22 topics in this module. The topics for this module deals with fractions. So I know that's a dreaded topic for some of you guys. So this is a great time to review it because you're going to see a lot of fractions in algebra. We're going to review a little bit of decimals. We're going to review geometry, meaning the shapes of things. And specifically, we're going to talk about the perimeter and the area of shapes. We are going to talk about the grouping symbol called absolute value. We're going to review order of operations. That's the order in which you do math. Exponents, which is another operation. And then lastly, combining like terms. So once we review all of these things, we'll jump into Module 2, where you'll get into the bread and butter of algebra. So before we do that, I just want to talk about the language of mathematics. So the language, I don't know how many of you guys speak a different language. I speak 2.5, meaning I speak English, I speak Vietnamese, and I've taken 4 years of Spanish. So I say that's kind of like half, 2.5. And what I've noticed about languages is that it's really about how often you speak it, what makes you more fluent at it. So nobody ever really says, oh, I'm terrible at speaking this language or that language because I'm not smart. That's not true, because what it really is that I don't speak a language fluently because I haven't been using it often enough. So that's the same thing with mathematics. So please, whenever you get the thought of saying, oh, I'm bad at math or I'm terrible at math, it has nothing to do with your intellect. It has really much more to do with how much you use it and practice it. And like any language, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So hopefully this class will help you guys to regain your fluency in speaking mathematics, the language of math. So in terms of speaking about language of math, when we talk about a language, one of the first things you learn when you have language, I have 2 kids, and the first thing they did when they learned how to speak is just to say nouns, words like mama, papa, milk, right? Like simple nouns. So in the language of math, we learn that there are also nouns in math as well. And the nouns of mathematics are things like the numbers, and the numbers including whole numbers. They could be fractions, they could be decimals, right? We call some of these numbers rational numbers or irrational numbers. So rational numbers are numbers that are very concrete, that you can measure, and that, like the number 7 or 9 or 11. Irrationals are like the number pi, 3.14, yada, yada, and it keeps on going on forever. Decimals are anything with a decimal point in them. So numbers comes in all shapes and forms, such as this. Other types of nouns in the language of math are variables. So variables are when we assign a symbol to something that we don't know, but it represents a number. So variables could, normally we see as the letter X or the letter Y, it could be the letter Z, it could be any number, any letter at all. So those are also nouns as well. So these are kind of like the subject of a sentence, right? So you want to notice what is the subject of the sentence when you're looking at the language of math. The next thing that my kids learned after they learned mama, papa, milk, right, is that they learned verbs. So language is very boring when you just know nouns, but once you add verbs to it, it makes it more interesting, right? So instead of saying dog, you would say running dog, or that these nouns actually do something. That's what makes language so colorful. So we want to add some verbs to these nouns to make it more interesting with language. So the verbs of mathematics is the things that you do with numbers, the things that you do with variables. And what are the things that you do? Well, you do adding to it, you do subtracting, multiplying, anything else? Dividing, right? We also do exponents to them as well. And we'll talk about exponents later. So there's, and etc. So there's more things. And the more advanced you get in your language, you start learning more and more verbs. Now, the next thing we also learn is that we also learn how to read, the grammar of language, right? So what order do you read, or what order do you say things? So I know in the English language, we read from left to right. So we're used to that. But in other languages, they read from right to left. So every language is a little bit different. So just because we do it one way in America doesn't mean that everywhere does it the same way. Same thing with mathematics. You do not do math or read math left to right. You need to do it in an order. And that order is, we call it the order of operations, the order in which you perform mathematics on an equation or on an expression. So the order of operations, when I get to that part here, with the shorthand way of remembering it is PEMDAS. Some of you guys might have remembered that from high school or from a former teacher. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And there's a caveat to some of these orders, but we'll talk about that when we get to those problems. So as you can see, as you develop your fluency in mathematics, you will gain more skills and learn more nouns, learn more verbs, and get better and better at these order of operations. So I hope you get ready to learn a new language as we embark on this journey of beginning and intermediate algebra.